Here's the bottom half I assembled in my earlier video, and the next job is to fit the pistons, which as you can see are there the side. And I have a blowtorch to heat those a little, give them a gentle heat on the top. Just makes the gudgeon pin fitting much easier. What you mustn't do is hammer the gudgeon pins in, bending rods, causing all kinds of damage. A bit of heat and they slide in nicely. Now, rather than complete the whole engine on the bench, I'm going to be putting, once I've got the pistons in, I'll put it back in the bike. This makes the job a lot easier for me because lifting a big heavy engine by yourself is a bit of a pain, especially with the rubber mountings I've got. It makes it a little bit fiddly. So I'm going to fit the engine in, and then once the engine's in position with the pistons fitted, we can start putting the barrels on, the ignition on, the clutch cover and engine's bolted in position. Front and rear mounts are all bolted up. As I said earlier, there's not one underneath on this engine. And pistons are in place, new circlips, and the pistons, of course, you shouldn't reuse the old ones. I have done it, but you shouldn't. The barrels are cleaned up, ready to go on. Base gaskets cleaned up, ready to go back on. A little bit of blue Hylamar gasket glue either side of a gasket, and then we'll get the barrels, slide them carefully over those pistons, and then it's time to sort out the heads. We've got the barrels in position. Back put the heads on. Here's the heads you can see inside these. These are the ones I had made by Andy Guy. Castings from the original casting with a bit of extra. Centre plug, nice squish, about 0.6mm, 0.55, 0.6mm, and you can see the nice bronze insert around the edge. We had detonation problems, and that repaired the damage and made it run cooler. It's better heat conduction. Very good job done by Lee Gourley. That's the heads all bolted up. I do them to a torque of about 18 foot-pound. Standard is 14. I do mine a little bit more for racing. Lining up the heads can be quite awkward because actually they do sort of wobble from side to side a little bit when you're putting them on. There's a bit of movement here. What I tend to do is to put the two rear bolts in position, leaving the front ones off, and then if you sort of look down there, you can sort of see it's lined up. Line it up, nip it up with the two back ones, and you can sort of line it up better there. With the squish and closeness of the head to the top of the piston, you have to get that about right. Okay, carbs are going to go on, and then the clutch cover. When you have the carbs on, as you can see here, there's the Jubilee clip that holds it on. And one mistake some people make when they're racing is these Jubilee clips have them round here, in that kind of position, which you can't undo when your fairing's on. Always have them where they're easy accessible. I've seen people at race meetings have to rip the fairing off to get the carbs off before a race. Bit silly really. Okay, clutch cover. One thing many people leave off is the clutch push, sort of mushroomy shaped thing, which the clutch actuating arm pushes against. You can see here also where extra holes are drilled in my cases to connect to the gearbox compartment of the clutch compartment, and we're going to put in the gearbox gear selector shaft. Just push it through the seal, and you can see how that lines up. There it is in the final position. Do make sure you get the teeth lined up centrally. The middle tooth on the selector mechanism fits in the middle space on the shaft. If you get those wrong, you won't be able to change gear. There we are. Well, that's the carburetors on. Nicely balanced up. Not sure if you can see here. There we are. Carburetors nicely balanced, and the clutch cover on. Time to put some oil in. And one of the questions I'm asked most often on my website is, where is the oil level? How do you know how much oil to put in? Well, you'll see here there is a small screw, which is the oil level screw. Officially, according to Suzuki, you fill it up until the oil comes out of there. It's a little bit of an unreliable technique. It's not one I tend to like a lot. As you can see, I've taken off this inspection cover, which I didn't need to take off, but I like to put the oil in and see the level, because if you can see in there, you can judge the level of the actual oil as a level with the screw, and get a good idea of how much you should put in from there. Make sure on a road bike, if you've taken the free drain bolts out when you put them back in, you'll have to put some oil, pump some oil through to the centre crank bearing. So do check your oil level after you've put some in, run it a little while just for a few moments, and then check your oil level again. It's a very good idea, but I personally would not rely on that little level screw. Not something I like. I'm going to use 530 fully synthetic motor oil. It works very well in a race engine. If you use 1540, that's fine. Although the clutch can drag a bit in the very cold weather. 2050 is far too much. Some people use ATF. Well, that's fine if that's what you want to use. 530 fully synthetic motor oil, not too expensive, is what I've used all the time. Engine position and exhaust all nicely fitted. Silicone sealer at the front. Springs back on. Bolted back up at the back. Wired up there. Also CRMC regulations say you have to have some wire on the silencer in some position. You can perhaps see here. You have to have an extra means of stopping the pipe falling off. So that's that side. Engine's got the oil in, nearly ready to go. Last job is to do the timing. Obviously use a dial gauge for the timing, and I'm about to do this now, and it has to be 1.5 mil, 1.5, 1.6 mil before top dead centre. You can see the timing marks there, not quite lined up at the moment. I'm on top dead centre. About 1.55 I try to set it to. Surprising how accurate you can be. After that, tank, fairing, give it a push. Let's see if it works. There we are, back where we started. Bike complete. I've left the fairing off, there's no point in putting that on for testing. But bike complete, a bit of fuel in the tank, timed, plugs in, raring to go. I've even geared it up for Cadwell, which is the next meeting. So time to test it, check everything over, give it a clean. Yep, seems fine. There you are, job done.